Hello, everyone, and welcome to Full-on, your Fulham-centric football podcast. I'm your host, Ash Woolford. Today, it's just me by myself. Unfortunately, the guys are all busy, so you'll have to put up with just hearing me speak for the next 20 minutes. So I apologise for that. But while we're here, let's talk about all things Fulham, and as well as giving you some updates on the show and some ways that you can all get involved and help us grow. Before we start talking about today's game, I want to thank everyone who's come over and joined the channel over the last couple of weeks. It's nice that we're still having that slow growth on YouTube. If you're watching this for the first time and don't subscribe to the channel, please come and subscribe, please. We're trying to hit 500 subscribers as soon as possible. We are going to give away a T-shirt from our merch store. If you're interested in anything from our merch store, the link is literally just there or there on the screen. Come and have a look. And at 500, we're going to be giving away an £85 bundle from the store. So all you have to do to win that is absolutely free. It's being one of our subscribers, and we'll pick someone at random when that comes about. Talking of that merch store, the merch store has basically been put in place to help us try and make the show more self-sustainable, as well as a great place to buy gifts for fellow Fulham fans. So if you are a Fulham fan, come have a look. You've got Fulham fans in your life. If you want to buy Christmas presents for, our T-shirt, the hoodie range is pretty good, and they all come with free delivery. Our mugs and our water bottles are the only thing at the moment don't come with free delivery, and it's only because of where they are produced. We can't get that, but free delivery on all T-shirts and hoodies. So make use of that. I would also like to thank everyone who has been getting involved with the show on X. It's been good to have you all over. It's been great to have people commenting about the shows, and everyone on TikTok who's now slowly starting to get involved with talking about what's coming up in shows too. So thank you for that. Without further ado, let's get on and talk about what we're here for. Fulham take on Everton away at the Hill Dickinson on Saturday at 3 p.m. kickoff. 14th place Everton take on the 15th place Fulham. Uh, Rather weirdly, we've both had sort of different starts to the season. Everton, I thought, started quite well and have come off the boil after recent weeks. And we sort of started well, came off the ball, and had a decent result last week against Wolves. But we know from the discussion post game that we're putting that mainly down to how bad Wolves are, not how good Fulham were, as good as we were on the day. What have we got to look forward to in this one? Well, obviously, it's our first trip to the Hill Dickinson. It looks like an impressive football stadium. I know a few Everton fans, and they've all told me that they've loved the move over so far. It feels like a real big football arena and a move that the club has probably needed to make. It's great that they've kept Goodison Park alive as well by moving their women's team into it. So, at least that's there for nostalgia reasons, and that's great too. I look forward to getting there. Unfortunately, I won't be there this weekend, but uh, you know, I know a lot of people that are going this week, and they're very, very excited about getting up to Everton for it. Let's look at what we should expect from this one. I am expecting a starting lineup in this one pretty similar to the team that played last week against Wolves. I don't expect to see much different. We know that Marco tends to like to see his squad settled, especially after wins and after decent results. So because of that, we know we're going to see Leno in goal. There's no way that's not going to happen. I expect to see Tete at right back, Bassi, Anderson as our centre backs, and Sessegnon still at left back. We know that Anthony Robertson, as desperate as we are to have him back, is getting there. The good news is obviously that he stepped up his recovery, although we do know that he is not quite uh, ready to be back yet. The good news is obviously he didn't need an extra surgery on his knee, which is good news for us and good news for the US, uh, especially with the World Cup coming up in the summer. It's good news for him as well, I'd imagine. I expect to see Bird and Iwobi in midfield again as the centre midfielders. I thought it worked pretty well last week, and I think that also helps by the fact that I expect to see Kevin on the left wing as well, who I thought had a great game last week. The right wing is where we might see some slight differences. I've got a funny feeling that uh, we may well not see Harry Wilson this week start the game. But again, it wouldn't surprise me if we do. If Chukwueze could maybe get in there before him, I wouldn't hate that so much. I thought Chuck looked really, really good when he came on last week. And, a cameo, if it was 10, 15 minutes longer, probably would have got him a man of the match performance. He did that well when he came on. But if we see Harry Wilson there, I won't be too surprised. I thought he also had a decent game last week. Bit poor with his shooting, but the one goal he did take, he took exceptionally well, so you can't really moan about that. The big question I think going into this game is whether or not we're going to see ESR or Josh King in that central position in midfield. Um, there's no reason to drop Josh King. He's been exceptional at the start of this season. Now he's got that goal that might help boost him. I thought he looked really good last week against Wolves as well. I don't think it helps that he still hasn't quite completed the 90 minutes of football for us, but ESR from the bench has also looked pretty good. I've been way more impressed with ESR coming on as a sub than I am when I see ESR starting games. It wouldn't surprise me if we see King and then ESR, but it also wouldn't surprise me too much if we maybe saw that swapped around because we know we're going to have a big battle with Everton in midfield in this game. And if we're going to get any chance to get anything out of it, then it's probably that. Going off of Marco Silva's press conference for the striker's position, I've got a funny feeling we may see Muniz come in and start this game. Rail's played an awful lot of football for a 34-year-old to start 3 games in the week like he did last week. Two of those playing the full game, pretty much. Um, It wouldn't surprise me if we saw him start this game, but I've got a funny feeling that we may see Muniz come in. Um, I know that Marco made comments about Muniz's fitness is being up again, but he's not ready to play 90 minutes. Well, though we have to be honest, neither of them two, if when the other one's fit, plays 90 minutes anyways. We like to swap it and change it around the 70th minute with that, just because it changes what we do up front when either of them play and they swap over. So if we start with Raul, we know we're going to get a good work rate, and he may well help with that midfield. If we start with Muniz, we never know what we're going to see going forward. Looking at their Everton team, Everton have had a bit of a stop-start season, if you ask me. I know that they had started decently, but they've lost their last 2 games. And they've lost their last 2 games by not playing that great. Obviously they drew on Monday night against Sunderland, who are a decent team, and it was at Sunderland. But I don't think Everton were that impressive, which is an odd thing to say because I don't think they're a bad team. It's one of those things that you look at Everton, you look at David Moyes and the way that they work. They are both, you know, they suit each other in the way that it works there. David Moyes done an exceptional job wherever he is, and especially at Everton the first time around. And I thought he did a decent job, you know, coming back when he did. Uh, you know, you look at that Everton squad, and you know that they are decent, especially when you look at Jordan Pickford, who has been a very good goalkeeper for them. And he's ever more impressive when he plays for England, which is one of the reasons why most of us see him play. James Tarkowski has always been a very good defender, same as Michael Keane. Both maybe slightly near in the ends, but they are very, very good defenders. And then you look further down that team, you know, uh, Iliman Ndiaye is a great player. His feet are fantastic. He's a brilliant footballer. I don't know if he's maybe gotten over the injury that he looked like he may have picked up on Monday night. But if he plays, he's going to be one to watch for sure. You look at Jack Grealish, who's Jack Grealish. He's an absolute pain. He's a pest, but in the best way possible. If you're, the team he plays for, and then you look at their strike force. They got Beto, who is a bit hit and miss. I think the striking part is probably the one bit where I'm most confident Fulham are strongest. But they got good defenders, and we have to make sure that we can sort of compete with that and try and keep up with it. Let's concentrate on Fulham, though. Obviously, it's been a rough couple of weeks for Fulham. Barring last Saturday's result against Wolves, we've had some games where we've really shot ourselves in the foot. You look at that Newcastle away result as one that you can probably similarise with Everton in terms of what we're going to see coming for us, and both goals we conceded that day to lose 2-1 were probably our own fault, which is frustrating and anger-inducing. But it does mean that we know we can play the type of football where we can be in these games, stay in these games. Um, the good news is obviously having Anderson and Batty back and playing, that we know we're strong defensively. You know, the only weak spots is mainly fitness in our squad at the moment. But luckily, we're starting to see players come back from injury. So hopefully, we're looking up rather than looking down at the moment. And there are many, many reasons to stay positive. One of those reasons to stay positive, obviously, is Josh King, who's had a few outstanding performances of late. I thought he did really well against Wolves last week. Wickham, he was probably our best player. Even if you take away his goal was brilliantly taken, obviously. But it's one of those things where you go, Everton is always a tough place to go to. They're a tough crowd to play in front of. They can be quite intimidating when they want to be. And from all I've seen from them playing at home this season at the new stadium, it is a very good atmosphere, a very hostile place to go. So, you know, he's going to have to be on it if we're going to see a good performance from him and the Fulham boys this weekend. Hopefully, we can get a result and be happy about it. I'm interested to see what you guys think in terms of scoreline predictions and players to watch. This is where I usually would ask the other guys on the pod what they think we're going to see going into a game. So let us know in the comments who players to watch and your scoreline predictions, and we'll see how we get it. For me, this week, there's a lot we have to look at, isn't there? Jack Grealish is always going to be the player to watch for me in any game he plays against Fulham because he's just slippery and he always manages to produce stuff against us, doesn't he? For us, I think it's a really important game for whoever partners Berger in midfield. If Setcher comes back into play, then having those two quite static in the middle could actually be quite detrimental in a game like this. But then they also tend to be quite strong. So it's one of those ones where it depends what we want. Alex Iwobi in the middle of the pitch as an 8 or a 6 would be fantastic, because I think he's been brilliant there for us this season. Even in games where he started out wide or finished out wide, when he's gone in the middle, we look so much more assured as a team on the ball. So I'd really, really like to see that going into the game this weekend. In terms of a scoreline prediction, if we can keep it tight, that'd be great. I've just got a funny feeling this game's going to be a 2-0 Everton win, just because I still don't think we're over our playing a bit bad. I think we need to get a few players back still. I still think that we made a lot of mistakes last week against Wolves, and if we weren't playing against Wolves, a better team would have punished us in those mistakes. And I'm also wary of what Everton can bring. Um, but who knows? I'm hoping people are just telling me I'm being super negative, and that's it. But we will see. There's not really much more to talk about, is there? Other than if you're going to the game on Saturday, I hope you enjoy the day out. I hope you enjoy the Hill Dickinson. And I know it's a new stadium for an awful lot of people. The tickets went for this pretty quickly among the Fulham fans that were available. Shocked that I don't think we took the full allocation we were being offered by Everton, but the ones that were sold. If you go, enjoy it. Hope it's a great experience for you in the sense of Fulham can get a win there. Who knows? In terms of our match review, we will hopefully be sitting down with some of the lads on Sunday night to record our review of the game, which means our game review of the Everton game should be out on Monday next week. That's if all goes to plan. We're missing a few tonight through illness and a couple of things that come up last minute. So hopefully that won't be the case. Hopefully you won't have to sit there and just listen to me waffle at you for 20 minutes straight. There's not really much more to say other than, as I said at the beginning of the show, thank you for everyone who's come and supported the show of late. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe. Please share along with your Fulham mates. Think about coming and having a look on the podcast website. The link is just in that QR code on the screen, just there. If you want to have a look, um, we are trying to sort of help to support us up, and obviously, the more money we can make through that, the more content and the better content we can bring you as a channel. We have big plans, but we need to grow our audience and to get things off the ground for that to happen. Not really much more to say other than hope you all have a good weekend. Hope Fulham can prove me wrong and get a decent result Everton this weekend. Come on, you Whites.